Hey, what's up everybody and welcome back to News Dose. And Microsoft just revealed their Q1 fiscal year report, and this includes some very interesting things for their Xbox gaming business, of course being what you all want to know about. Well, for the second year in a row, Xbox did report its best year ever in terms of revenue, and a big part of this was because of Game Pass and then the Xbox Series. Now there's some other parts to this as well, but we're going to go over all of that today, as well as a new PlayStation team that's being formed with Naughty Dog? Yeah, this might be something to watch out for, as some interesting things could definitely come from this. But per usual, before we get started, if you're new to the channel and if you like gaming, do consider hitting those buttons below, like, subscribe, and ring that bell for daily gaming updates. With that said though, let's just go and jump right into things, starting off with a big remake that just got announced today, being The Witcher. Now, this was actually a part of those 5 projects that they announced earlier this month. We did talk about this before, so we already knew that they had some unannounced Witcher projects in development, one being Canis Majoris. But today, CD Projekt Red decided to just uncover the entire thing, being a full-blown remake of the original title that was made back in 2007. And yes, this is an actual remake, not just a simple remaster as some other games are. This is a full-blown remake. They did make that very clear, as they said it's being built from the ground up using Unreal Engine 5 in partnership with Fool's Theory, which, interestingly enough, has some of the talent that's worked on some of the older Witcher titles. So that's actually pretty cool, and if there was any concern on CD Projekt Red not doing it, well, again, you do have some of the former talent working on this game. And while I know some people are a little tired of remakes, I think that this is a great decision. You know, the thing about the Witcher series is that it really seemed to have taken off with The Witcher 3. I mean, the first game isn't even available on consoles, that is an only PC game, and for a lot of people, that third installment was really their first experience with the series. I mean, CD Projekt Red, they handled things well and everything, as they gave you a nice summary at the beginning of the game, but for fans that went back and tried to play that first game all of these years later, well, it hasn't really exactly aged all that well, despite the core being really good. So I think a remake is suited here, and they are saying it's going to be a modern reimagining. So there will be some changes, and I think that that's for the better here. Plus, this will be in development alongside a brand new Witcher entry as well. So you are going to get The Witcher 4, and you're going to get this remake here. So, I mean, it's really just kind of the best of both worlds. All in all, though, don't expect to play this game anytime soon, as it is in early development, so we're probably still talking about years away before we get to play it ourselves, but I think it's exciting nonetheless. Now, we also got a release date for Team Ninja's next game, being Wolong Fallen Dynasty. It is officially slated to release on March 3rd of 2023 for Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and yes, this is also a big Day 1 Xbox Game Pass launch game. It's actually quite amazing that they somehow managed to snag this one as a Day 1 release, but they really do just such a masterful job at making it the best service that they possibly can, and that includes the return of Team Ninja to Xbox with a brand new IP. Team Ninja's previous series was exclusive to PlayStation, being Neo, so this is a very welcome return for Xbox fans, and even more so because it actually looks really good. Wolong appears to be yet another Souls-like experience, similar to what they did with the Neo series, but it also looks to kind of be its own thing as well. What I do know, though, is that Team Ninja knows how to make good action games, and they know how to make good Souls-like experiences. We've seen that with the Neo series. We've seen that with Ninja Gaiden. So, yeah, just go ahead and mark your calendars for March 3rd of 2023 for when you can play Wolong the Fallen Dynasty. Now, Hideo Kojima is also hyping up his next game as well, or at least one of them, which is almost amusing because it does sound like he's working on exclusive games for both Xbox and PlayStation. It almost feels like with every Kojima topic anymore, Xbox and PlayStation fans can't really figure out whether to be excited or mad. But in an interview with The Guardian, Kojima decided to throw out a small tease for one of his upcoming projects by saying this: "It's almost like a new medium. If this succeeds, it'll turn things around, not just in the game industry, but in the movie industry as well." So he's basically saying that this game is unlike anything that you've ever seen before, and he's trying something brand new here. He even goes on to say that you can have successful experiments, but there's a long distance between an experiment and a place where it's something that becomes a part of everyday usage. So whatever he's referring to, I mean, at the very least, This sounds unique. And I think that we already kind of know what game he's teasing here. There's actually a long paper trail for what one of his next games is, being Overdose, which leaked out online right before the Summer Game Fest earlier this year. That is presumed to be the game that's in development in partnership with Xbox using their cloud-based technology. And from day one, as soon as we heard that they were working together, we also heard that it was supposedly a unique game. Pretty much how he's explaining things here. We also know from the Overdose leak that that's a horror game. And that's interesting because if we go back to an interview that he had in 2019, he mentioned wanting to return to the horror genre because he had some ideas that he wanted to get out there. His ideas reportedly leans into the idea that games are more interactive than movies. And once again, with this interview and discussion today, he mentions turning things around not just for games, but also for films. So I think that there's some pretty strong indications here that whatever he's talking about could be for Overdose. Now, I don't necessarily know how all of this will look in action, and there's not really a guarantee that Overdose is that Xbox exclusive game. I mean, that still all kind of remains to be seen. But I think that if you kind of piece together everything that he's saying from both today as well as from the past, it does sound like that he might be talking about Overdose. But whatever the case may be, hopefully we'll start to see this game soon enough. Maybe at the Game Awards, as he's already hinting towards being there, so maybe then. But if the rumor is true that he's also working on Death Stranding 2, there's really no guarantee on what game he'll show there if he makes an announcement at all. Alright, so let's just go and get right into this Microsoft and Xbox fiscal year report though, which spans across July, August, and then September. Now, there's quite a lot to get into here as they posted up some interesting results, but let's just go and take a look at this infographic here, which goes over some of the key highlights. Per usual, Microsoft doesn't really give concrete numbers. They kind of did away with that a long time ago, but as you can see here, gaming revenue grew slightly. Dom's Playing estimated about a 1% growth, which implies $3.63 billion in quarterly sales, which would be their best quarter one ever. And then in terms of Xbox content and services revenue, they saw a decline due to first-party and third-party content. But interestingly enough, the key line here is that it was partially offset because of Xbox Game Pass growth. So there's a little bit of a give and take there, but overall, I think that that's a great sign for their long-term goals. We all know that Xbox Game Pass is their primary focus, and the fact that it was able to grow year over year in a slow period, I might add, not just for big third-party releases, but also for their Xbox first-party. I mean, this has been a slow year. There's been a lot of delays, including with their own first-party games like Starfield and Redfall. That's been delayed into 2023. But despite all that, they still saw growth. And to me, I look at that and it tells me this is a great sign for 2023. Theoretically, we should see them have an even bigger year next year, as, 2023 looks loaded right now. We'll come back to that here in just a second. But then the last key part here is that Xbox hardware revenue grew by 13%. Now, we've kind of talked about this already, but this is another clear indicator that some of those manufacturing issues are being resolved. We did see in September this huge influx of Xbox Series and PlayStation 5 consoles hit the market. And I think from this point forward, we will continue to see growth in hardware year over year because they're just becoming more readily available. And this is not just for Xbox, but also with the PlayStation 5. So this is really just a good thing for consumers as a whole. Maybe now we can finally start to put an end to those stock shortages that we've seen up to this point. But there was a little bit more to this report than just the raw numbers. Actually, I'd say some of the most interesting things came from official statements. So Satya Nadella, being the Microsoft CEO, mentioned that half the Xbox Series S owners are completely new to the Xbox ecosystem. That is exactly why this is such a brilliant console. It is an affordable option to jump into next generation gaming. It's basically a 1080p machine. This is not as powerful as the Xbox Series X. It's not as powerful as the PlayStation 5, but it does have an NVMe solid-state drive for those fast load times. And because it has a great processor, it's more than capable of giving good performance for most games. Really, so far, it's held its own this generation, and because it is listed at $300 compared to $500 for the PlayStation 5 disc model and then the Xbox Series X, it's very enticing, especially with the inclusion of something like Xbox Game Pass. Immediately, customers will get 100 plus games and a next generation console for a very good price. that's a winning combo. It is a great entry point for gamers that don't want to spend $500. And that, to me, is great for the entire industry. If you want more inclusion, you want more people to get into gaming, then make it more affordable. And that's exactly what the Xbox Series S does. Now, again, though, they did see some growth for Xbox Game Pass this quarter. Phil Spencer later on confirmed that it was a 15% growth, and he also confirmed that Xbox Game Pass is indeed profitable. Yes, there it is once again. So for all the speculation that it's not, and for all of the doubters out there, this should just kind of end the debate here. He did confirm that Xbox Game Pass is already profitable. So there it is confirmed. The big surprise from here, though, was with PC Game Pass. They, of course, have been putting a lot of effort into PC gaming, but it's apparently paying off in huge dividends now, as they announced that PC Game Pass saw a 159% growth year over year. Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. And it just goes to show you they are starting to see more success, not just with their consoles, but also with PC as well. That multi-dimensional ecosystem, it's working, and it's working very, very well. They've had a lot of success on Steam, as shown time and time again. We've seen several of their games make that top 10 list on a pretty consistent basis. And now, when it comes to PC Game Pass, it seems like it's starting to heat up on top of that. So, big congrats on their PC success, and truthfully, I think that there's still plenty of potential here. I would like to see them expand to Linux-based devices. I don't know if they'll ever do that just because they're Windows, of course, this is Microsoft, but man, I'd love to see PC Game Pass run natively on something like the Steam Deck, and I think they'd grow even more if they expanded to something like that. Regardless, though, I think that their fiscal year Q1 results are pretty solid around the board, and again, I look at the results here, and I just think, wow, 2023, it is going to be a massive year for them. They have some huge first-party games in their pipeline like Starfield and Redfall, and maybe potentially games like Avowed, Perfect Dark, and Hellblade. And when you just kind of combine all that with the Xbox Series and things like PC Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass, yeah, I think Xbox has a very bright future ahead of them. Let's go and talk about this new PlayStation team, though, and this is pretty interesting stuff as well. I mean, really, sometimes it's just so fun to be a gamer. But what's happening here is that a new job listing seemingly refers to a new team working on a AAA project in collaboration with Naughty Dog. As you can see here, it says Sony PlayStation is building a new internal game development team in partnership with PSS Visual Arts, an award-winning full production group that specializes in animation, motion capture, cinematics, art, and scanning. This is the same world-class team known for its contributions to the Last of Us franchise. This high-visibility project is being developed in collaboration with Naughty Dog. Though currently unannounced, we have a clear vision and plan to release. Using our existing expertise and premier talent, we will guarantee a high visual quality bar for the game and a compelling experience for our players. Now, they are specifically searching for AAA talent, which is a good sign this will be for a big budget title. But the most mysterious part about this whole thing is that it's apparently being made in collaboration with Naughty Dog. And because of that, there's a lot of speculation that this could be one of their beloved franchises. Of course, as mentioned in the listing, Visual Art, they did help out with the Last of Us series, and they're involved here as well. So it does seem like Sony is willing to venture out with Naughty Dog's IP and maybe let other studios work on them instead. Now, we've seen Xbox do that with Rare IP as an example, and we might be seeing that happen over there with Naughty Dog. And one way of doing that is by forming a completely new team and then having them collaborate with Naughty Dog. Now, one thing about that is interesting is that earlier this year, a Naughty Dog recruiter seemingly hinted at a new Uncharted game. In a LinkedIn post, this recruiter said, scouting for talent at every level, and that it was special being able to be building future teams for not only new titles, but for the legacy of Uncharted. So yeah, maybe there's a connection here between the two. Uncharted is extremely popular, and it's one of Sony's most successful franchises of all time, so I could see them going that extra mile to keep the franchise going. Naughty Dog could continue developing new IP as they're known for, and then have this new team work on Uncharted with Naughty Dog's supervision. I think that could possibly work if they went in that direction. I think that if they were to do something like that, though, I'd be curious as to where they would go with the Uncharted series. I mean, if you finished Uncharted 4, they do wrap up Nathan Drake's story in a nice little bow. I don't really know if they could do too much with Nathan's story anymore. Now, there are other options, though, including a spinoff with Sully. Maybe they could do something with Nathan's brother, or what I kind of lean towards is the possibility of Nathan's daughter carrying on the mantle. She does have an interest in treasure hunting as well, so who knows? Of course, though, this new team could be working on a new IP. I mean, there's no guarantee that they're working on an existing franchise. Or, I mean, maybe they could just be helping with other Naughty Dog games. So everything just all kind of remains to be seen as of this moment. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below and what you think they could possibly be up to. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, do you plan on getting Sonic Frontiers when it releases? Of course, it is set to release next month on November 8th, but as you can see here, 9% of you said yes, you're going to get it day one, 19% of you said yes, but waiting for a sell, 51% of you said no, you're not interested, and then 17% of you said that you are still undecided. So I'm actually not really overly surprised by the results here. The majority of you all are either undecided or you're just not interested, and I think that that's understandable given the history of Sonic 3D releases. They have been a little inconsistent over the years in terms of quality. Now, I will say for myself, I am interested in Sonic Frontiers, and is probably the most excited I've been for a 3D Sonic entry in a very, very long time, probably since I was a kid coming off Sonic Adventure 2 for the Sega Dreamcast. But even though I am optimistic about Sonic Frontiers, I still understand that I think that there's reason for healthy skepticism. Another aspect of this, though, is pretty much what Daku pointed out here. As you can see here, they say, I'll wait, maybe not for sale, but not at launch anyway. Pokemon is more important, and I won't use my money on Sonic for November. December is dry on games, so maybe then. And yeah, that's going to play a role here as well. I've said it time and time again. I don't think that its release date being just one day before God of War Ragnarok, and then as you point out, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, that releases next month as well. So you're talking about two of the biggest releases for the entire year. I feel like they could have probably timed things a little bit better with Sonic Frontiers, but hey, whatever, I guess. I still am optimistic about this game, though. I think it looks good so far, and hopefully some reviews will start to confirm that next month. Definitely crossing my fingers for this one. We need a good 3D Sonic release, and I'm hoping Sonic Frontiers will be exactly that. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.